Hi there! In this video, you will be introduced to the fifth Chief Justice of the US Supreme Court, which is Roger B. Taney. By the end of this video, you will know his early life and his path to politics, his Supreme Court decisions and opinions in the Charles River Bridge case and the Dred Scott decision, and some highlights and achievements that occurred during his career. Roger Brooke Taney, or more commonly known as Roger B. Taney, was born on March 17, 1777 in Calvert County, Maryland. He was the second son of a successful tobacco farmer, Michael Taney V, and Monica Taney. Being the second son, he was not going to inherit the family fortune, so he decided to pursue law. Taney entered Dickinson College in Pennsylvania at the age of 15, graduated 3 years later with honors, and was admitted to Maryland Bar at the age of 22. That same year, he was elected to a one-year term in the Maryland House of Delegates. Taney was elected to the Maryland Senate in 1816 as a member of the Federalist Party, serving a 5-year term. In 1826, he became Maryland Attorney General after he switched allegiance to Democratic Party. President Andrew Jackson appointed Taney as the U.S. Attorney General in 1831. He was later appointed as Secretary of Treasury when the previous Secretary of Treasury refused to fulfill Jackson's order and resigned from his post instead. Confirmation of Taney's appointment as Treasury Secretary was frustrated by the Senate. President Andrew Jackson nominated Taney as the U.S. Associate Justice at 1835, but was rejected by the Senate, marking the first time the Congress had nixed a presidential nominee. After Chief Justice John Marshall died, Taney was nominated for his post and was confirmed, becoming the fifth Supreme Court Justice. Major decision involved and opinions written by Roger B. Taney. One of Taney's significant Supreme Court cases is the Charles River Bridge case. The Supreme Court had to settle a dispute between the Charles River Bridge Company and the Warren Bridge Company over a clause in Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution that discussed about the obligation of a contract. In 1785, the Massachusetts legislature gave rights to the Charles River Bridge Company to construct a toll bridge that connects Cambridge and Boston. In 1828, the legislature established the Warren Bridge Company to build a free bridge nearby. The Charles River Bridge Company filed suit against the competing company, claiming that the state charter had given it a monopoly and the legislature had defaulted on its initial contract. The court sided with the Warren Bridge. Chief Justice Roger B. Taney stated that the state had not entered a contract that prohibited the construction of another bridge on the river at a later date, meaning that the Charles River Bridge Company did not actually have the exclusive rights to build the bridge there. Taney said, "While the rights of private property are sacredly guarded, we must not forget that the community also have rights and that the happiness and well-being of every citizen depends on their faithful preservation." Taney said that with the rise of technology, transportation system is also developing, and if charters granted monopolies to corporations, transportation improvements will not be able to flourish. He added that if there is any ambiguity in a contract, the decision made should be to benefit the public, thus allowing a competing free bridge. The most important case handled by Chief Justice Taney is the Dred Scott decision, or more formally known as Dred Scott v. Sanford. Dred Scott was a slave owned by an army surgeon, John Emerson, who resided in Missouri. Emerson took Scott wherever he was stationed to, such as Illinois and the Wisconsin Territory, where federal law prohibited slavery as part of the Missouri Compromise in 1820. After the death of Emerson in 1846, Scott sued for his freedom in a Missouri state court after his attempt to purchase freedom from Emerson's wife was denied. He argued that since he previously had been taken to places where slavery was prohibited by law, he should have the right to become a free man. The Missouri State Court rejected his argument, and Scott appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Chief Justice Taney gave two opinions that ruled against Scott and caused the decision to split 7-2. Taney argued that because of the prevailing attitudes towards slavery and African Americans in the year when the Constitution was drafted and ratified, a slave was not and never could become a federal citizen. Taney declared that African Americans were not United States citizens and thusly had no right to sue.
The Negroes have never been, will not, and cannot be citizens of the United States. They have no rights which the white man is bound to respect.
Taney's second opinion ruled that, like private property, slaves could not be taken from their rightful owners without due process. He declared that any law excluding slaves from territories was a violation of the Fifth Amendment prohibition against the seizure of property without due process of law. He concluded that Congress did not have the proper authority to illegalize slavery in federal territories, thus making the Missouri Compromise unconstitutional. One of the highlights of Taney's career was the Dred Scott decision, which moved the country to the brink of the Civil War. In its ruling, the court sought to solve the slavery controversy once and for all, but the outcome of the decision was the total opposite. Although it was not the direct cause for the war to break out, but the decision dissatisfies a lot of parties, which then led to the Civil War. His action to endorse slavery did not stop various tributes. A statue of him remains in front of the Maryland State House in Annapolis, a county in Missouri, a street in Baltimore and Philadelphia, and a U.S. Coast Guard cutter was named after him. However, other Taney dedications have been removed due to public disapproval, including the renaming of Roger B. Taney Middle School in Temple Hill, Maryland to Thurgood Marshall Middle School. Taney remained a controversial figure, and he was attacked by abolitionists in the Senate even after his death in 1864. Despite that, he is still highly regarded by his colleagues, even those who dissent the Dred Scott decision. All his other contributions has been looked over, as people will only remember him for the Dred Scott decision.